Hello and welcome to my studio. May Flom here, and today we are talking kits. So before I make my kit, and I have my stuff here. What we are talking about today is the Counterfeit Kit Club. So essentially they get inspiration from a kit and then using your stash, try to recreate it. Now, keep in mind when we talk about this kind of thing, you do not have to recreate an entire or replicate. Remember that being inspired by something does not always mean I'm going to replicate it. Sometimes it means I'm going to take a concept or an idea or a color combination or a thought even, and go and create something from there. Now, I'm going to create a very small kit because this is summertime and I actually minimally craft in summer. Summer is very much an outside, go do things, get the kids moving, take advantage of summer vacation time here. I spend very little time in the studio. So I am not building an enormous kit because honestly, all that would do is move my supplies out of where they go, out of where they're organized, and keep them there. And there's no point in that. So I'm making a very small kit. I have precisely two projects in mind for this kit. I have a journal cover in mind and I have a scrapbook page in mind, and I will make those. And if once I've made those, I get inspired to make any cards, to make any other kinds of projects, great, fantastic, I will make them. If not though, there is no shame whether you've purchased a kit or made it yourself in pulling that kit apart, putting it back in your supplies, in your stash, wherever things might go, and letting it go. There is no shame in that. Please always remember that. I know something that I have seen a lot. It can be people getting a little hung up on, okay, but I have this kit and I have to use it. Well, do you, or can you pull it apart? So remember, you can always pull it apart. A couple of tips that I want to give you, whether you're making kits, purchasing kits, using kits. Number one, you're going to want to think about what you actually use. You do not want to make a kit with 57 pattern papers if you only ever stamp with cardstock. You're not going to get the pattern papers used. You would be better to select 2, 3, maybe 4 pattern papers and lots of cardstock and stamps, because that ratio would be what you create with. That's number one. Number two, pay attention in general. Check in with yourself on what do you actually craft with? What do you like? But also, what do you struggle with? And do you struggle with it and need to learn about it? Or do you just not like it? Because that's okay too. And number three, remember, it's just moving supplies around. There is nothing that says, well, once I've moved these supplies in this way, it has to stay here. They're just craft supplies. They're just pretty things to play with and have a good time with. Do not make it more stressful than you need to. Do not make it more difficult. Just have a good time and create. In looking at these images, so this is the kit to Counterfeit. This is a Coco Daisy kit. And I'm going to be honest, it's a lot of color. I mean, it's the whole rainbow of color and very bold colors that I normally wouldn't really use as a color palette. So I started with the basics. I went, you know what? I'm going to see a lot of white, and I'm going to pick out aqua as my main color. When I do kits, I really do like to pick one color as a main color. And then I saw this bug paper and I went, you know what? This bug paper has the aqua I'm looking for, but it also has the yellow, the red, the pink, the green, all those other colors that we saw in that kit. And I thought, okay, well, I'll grab that one. And then this pink paper caught my eye and I went, okay, yeah, let's bring that one in. And I'll tell you right now, I'm not going to use the striped paper, but I thought there's a chance, depending on what I make, that I might want this striped paper. So let's bring it in here anyway. And that's it on pattern paper. For this many colors, I am not going to bring in a ton of pattern and a ton of design because the colors are already so bold and I don't want to mix huge amounts. And as I mentioned before, I'm going to use this kit sparingly. It's going to be light crafting with this kit. So now I'm going to go looking in my stash and I find a button mix that's red and aqua that seems like it'd be a good match. And I'm really just going to be looking for things that I feel like, okay, this item works well with this bug paper. So everything I'm looking at, I'm pulling back to would I use it with the bug paper? And the reason I'm doing that is because the bug paper has all of those kit colors. So if I think something could work with that, I'll bring it in. And I'm looking through old note cards, old journaling cards, things that maybe have colors that might work or things I haven't ever used, but I wish I could use, want to use. That's really what I'm focusing on here. And I'm pulling a lot of journaling cards because I can already tell you that for my scrapbook page, I already know I'm going to use the white background because I'm going to want to cool down how much bright, bold color there is. And that's an instant way to do it, is start with the neutral background. So I'm pulling those things out, and then basically what I'm doing is going around and I'm looking for things that I don't use or haven't used. And I wanted to pull a washi tape in because the kit uses washi tapes, the original. And then I found this Summer Vibes acrylic piece that I've never ever used, and I know immediately we're going to make a Summer Vibes notebook, and this is going to be on the cover, and that'll get that used. And then here's some Never Grow Up little assorted embellishments. So basically I'm just looking for things, these bugs that I thought were so cool but I've never used. Basically I'm pulling things that I'm looking at and going, okay, well, I would like to use this, or I can envision using this. I want to use that. I'm pulling those items out and building the kit that way. And here's the thing. If I want to add stamps, if I want to add ink pads, and actually I have some stamps that I'm going to pull out and put in this just because they never get used, so I'm pulling them out. But if I have other things I want to use here, if other things pop up and I say, oh, I wish I had glitter glue or thread or ribbon, guys, I can just pull that from my own supplies at any time. It doesn't necessarily have to be in this kit in order, and I'm moving things around there so I can better see it, but it doesn't have to be in this kit initially to be used on the project. Now, spoiler alert, other than an ink pad, I'm actually not going to pull anything at all for my 2 projects from this kit that I'm going to make and share with you right now. But you can see, really, the thing about making a supply kit is you're just gathering things that could work together. And I strongly recommend, if you're new to it, start small like I did. Start a little smaller and learn from it, build on it, grow with it. So first up, I'm just going to show you that I'm making my Bug Summer Vibes journal. This is a lot of fun, this one right here. And I'm just adhering the paper to the cover, and then I'm going to pull out scissors and cut it up. And then I'm going to use a sanding block, and I'm going to sand all the way around. This is just going to smooth the edges, and it's also just going to make sure that it looks nice, but also I kind of like the distressed kind of a look. And you can, as you sand, you will get little bits and pieces off. You're also going to get a lot of dust, so you'll want to get rid of that. And you can cut any pieces that are stubborn. With that done, I already knew, remember I said I knew right exactly when I saw that I still had this Summer Vibes acrylic piece. I'm going to use it. I'm going to put it on here. And I decided to use that pink pattern paper to add a little contrast and be like the title strip where this is going to go. I just thought it would be cute with the bugs, and then bring in some pink in there because I always love some pink. So once I've got this torn, and I'm just using the ruler to get a nice straight tear, I'm just going to cut off any extra, and then I'm going to go ahead and take that Summer Vibes and glue it all down into place. Now I will just tell you, there's paper backing on this, so I actually have to sit here and it takes a while, like 10 minutes, to pick all the pieces off. So what I am showing you is the sped up version of putting all the little bits and pieces back into here all together. With that all in place, it's time to look at other embellishments. So I'm pulling out like this leaf die cut, of course, one of my metal bugs. I gotta get one of those metal bugs on here, and just kind of putting together if there's any other embellishments that I have that I want to use on here. Onto my layout, I mentioned I knew right away when I have this much color, this much bold color, white helps me because it just calms everything down. So I'm just going to do a simple 3x4 grid. So those are all 3x4 spaces, and I'm going to stitch around the outside. I'm going to add little bits and pieces. So I utilized pattern paper. I utilized embellishments that I wanted used, stamps that I wanted to use, 3 different journaling cards, washi tape, buttons, a lot of things utilized here. And I absolutely love the results. I am so happy with how this turned out. Now, the one last thing I want to leave you with is let me know. I would love to hear from you in the comments if you would like to see more kit type content. If you would like to also, I'm working on some stash busting challenges for the fall. And don't forget, I also have free online events going on. I'm going to put a link down below this YouTube video so you can check those out if you're interested. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you have a great day. I'll see you next time.